I never liked working the closing shift, but when your grandma's on oxygen and your rent's overdue, you don't exactly get to be picky. I was 22 when this happened, still living out in Roswell, the real Roswell, not the alien-themed tourist trap. Just trailers, gas stations, too many empty lots. I worked nights at the Circle K off Route 84, the one between the truck stop and that old diner nobody ate at anymore. Back then, I lived with my grandma in a 2-bedroom trailer with a busted swamp cooler and a leaky roof. After her cancer diagnosis, school went out the window. Bills didn't care about your GPA. Most nights at Circle K were dull. I'd do closing with Rico, the assistant manager, ex-military, mid-30s, kind of a smartass but solid, and Angela, a 17-year-old with smudged eyeliner and earbuds always hanging from her hoodie. She was saving up for prom and talked about it like it was the only thing that mattered. That night, it was windy. April in New Mexico gets weird that way. Hot 1 hour, then freezing with sand in your teeth the next. It was about 11:30 when Angela said it. He's been standing there a while. I looked up from stocking behind the counter. There was a man just outside the glass doors, just standing, not moving, hands at his sides, no shopping bag, no car nearby. Eyes fixed straight through the glass like he was watching a movie. At first I thought he was homeless. We got a few who came in for coffee or to warm up near the microwave burrito rack. But this guy didn't move, didn't even blink. Rico looked up. "We're closed in 20, he said flatly, then walked over and flipped the lock early. The guy didn't react, just stood there for another second, then slowly turned and walked around the side of the building, out of view. Angela said quietly, "That was weird." It was. But I told myself, people get lost, get high, get tired. This place wasn't special. It just looked that way when you stared at it too long. Still, I felt something then. Not fear exactly, just that twitch in the back of your neck when your body knows more than your brain does. After the guy disappeared, things got back to normal, sort of. We went back to closing duties, mopping the back, restocking gum, cleaning the bathrooms. I took the restroom key, grabbed the cleaning bucket and headed to the back. Angela said something behind me. Soft, almost nervous. "I think he's still out there." I turned, but she wasn't looking at me. Just back at the door. The wind pushed against it like it was trying to come in. "He's probably gone," I said, mostly to myself. I went into the bathroom. The overhead light flickered when I flipped it on. Nothing unusual for a building that hadn't had real maintenance since Obama was president. I pulled on gloves and opened the stall door. There was no one there. But then I saw the mirror. Not a full figure, just the sense of someone. Like someone had just stepped out of frame. My own reflection looked a little off. Pale, eyes too wide, hair sticking to my cheek with sweat I hadn't noticed. I stared for a few seconds longer than I should have. Not because I saw anything, just because I felt like I might. Then I heard something. A soft whisper. Not words, just air. Like breath. I froze. The faucet creaked slightly. I hadn't touched it. I dropped the cleaner and backed out of the room. Fast. My heart was thudding hard. Not from what I saw, but from what I thought I might have seen. I walked back toward the front and found Angela near tears and Rico staring at the security monitor. "Did you see him come back in?" I asked, breath catching. "No," Rico said quietly. "Nothing." I told them what I thought I saw, or felt, in the bathroom. Rico grabbed the bat we kept under the counter and swept the store. Angela followed him, but I stayed put. I couldn't shake it, the feeling that something had shifted. They came back 5 minutes later. "Nothing," Rico said again. But I noticed he double-checked the lock this time. We didn't hang around after close. We locked up 10 minutes early and left together in Rico's car. No one wanted to go out alone. Rico drove. Angela stared out the window, chewing her sleeve. I sat in the back, watching the gas station fade behind us. It felt like we were being watched, but I knew better than to say that out loud. You say stuff like that and people start looking at you differently. Like maybe you're the problem. "I've worked here 5 years," Rico said, breaking the silence. "Never seen that guy before. Never seen you run like that either." "I didn't see anything," I said. "I just felt like I did." Angela murmured. "It didn't feel right. The air in there." We dropped her off at her house. She didn't even say goodbye. Just got out and walked up the driveway with her arms wrapped around herself like she was cold. I didn't go home either. Called my cousin, said I needed a place to crash. She didn't ask questions. Didn't sleep much. Just kept thinking about that moment in the bathroom. The mirror, the whisper, the heaviness in the air. Maybe I was tired. Maybe my brain had rewired itself from too many late nights and not enough real rest. Next morning, I called the store manager, left a voicemail. "I'm sorry, I'm done. I can't do nights anymore." That was it. Rico quit later that week. About 10 days after I quit, I got a text from Angela. No words, just an image attached. It was a selfie, posted on Yelp by some tourist. Bad lighting, crooked angle, taken in the snack aisle, harmless at first glance. But in the reflection on the end cap mirror, just behind the energy drinks, there was a figure, not clear, not detailed, but standing still, face in shadow, shape too familiar. The timestamp on the post, 10:14 p.m. Almost an hour before we saw the man outside the doors. I stared at the photo for a long time, longer than I want to admit. Then I turned off my phone and didn't turn it back on for the rest of the day. I never texted Angela back. What was I going to say? I passed by the store again a year later. It was boarded up, the windows smashed out, a hand-lettered "For Lease" sign hung crooked on the front. It looked hollow, forgotten. But I parked across the street anyway. Just sat there for a while. You don't think these places will mean anything. Gas stations, fluorescent lights, late nights wiping down a microwave. But they do. They get inside you. Especially when no one else sees what you did, or what you thought you did. In the rear view, I saw something shift in the glass. Not a man, not a ghost. Just a trick of the light. Probably. I think about that night more often than I'd like to admit. Not because of what I saw, or maybe didn't see, but because of what it meant. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't a ghost. It's feeling like you're the only one who noticed something wrong. That everyone else will write it off while you lie awake wondering if you're losing it. Here's what I know now. Isolation can do strange things to the brain. So can silence. And when people say they're scared or tired or off, you believe them. Because it doesn't take a haunting to make someone disappear. Sometimes all it takes is no one listening. If you've never worked retail on a Friday night, let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart, especially not at a gas station off Lake Point Avenue in Cedar Glen, Ohio, especially not during football season. I was 19 when this all went down. I worked part-time at Circle K, juggling community college classes and helping my mom pay off a second mortgage that we never talk about. My days were a blur of lectures, coffee, and fluorescent lights. I didn't mind the job. It was money. Devin, my usual closing partner, kept to himself. Good guy. Quiet. The kind of person who'd remind you to clock out, then vanish. Every Friday after the home games, the same crew of high school football players rolled in like they owned the place. Shoulder pads half off, cleats clacking on the tile, smelling like sweat and Axe body spray. They never bought much. Mostly harassed the soda machine and flirted with anyone under 30. Zach was their ringleader. Tall, smirky, loud. The kind of kid who'd get voted most likely to get away with it. That night, he swaggered in, grabbed a 44-ounce cup, and made a show of pretending not to pay. "Free refills, right?" he asked, already filling it with Sprite. "Only with a receipt," I said, tapping the plastic sign right in front of him. He laughed. "Come on, it's just Circle K. Not like this is NASA." "Still gotta pay." He didn't like that. His eyes narrowed just enough to make it weird. "All right, Officer Lane." He dropped the cup on the counter, not hard but not gently either, and walked out, muttering something under his breath I couldn't catch. Whatever. I went back to wiping down the hot dog rollers, more annoyed than anything. Then I saw it, a folded napkin tucked under the edge of the counter. I almost tossed it in the trash, but something about the ink bleeding through made me stop. "Better watch your back. You're making enemies." I stared at it for a long time. Then I showed it to Devin. He looked at it, sighed, and said, "They're just kids, Marissa." Messing around, but my hands were already shaking. Because a friend of mine, Ashley, had been followed home 2 months ago. Same setup, same kind of boys, and nobody believed her either. I couldn't stop thinking about that note. It stayed with me all weekend, folded and refolded in my backpack like a secret. I didn't show it to my mom. She had enough on her plate with 2 jobs and my little brother. When I mentioned it again on Monday, Devin just gave me that same look, like I was overreacting. "They hang out here every Friday," he said. "You know how they are. You challenge them, they get cocky, that's all." But it didn't feel like all. It felt personal. The following Friday, I parked closer to the store than usual. Under the streetlight, camera facing me. I told myself I was being careful, not paranoid. The same boys came in, right on time. Zach didn't even look at me this time. Just knocked over a bag of pretzels, laughed, and walked out holding a Gatorade. They didn't pay. Devin muttered something about not starting a scene, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. After closing, I grabbed my bag and headed to my car. That's when I saw it, my Civic sitting low on one side. I crouched down and saw the gash in the tire, not a nail, not road damage, a clean slice. Both rear tires, same angle, same depth, like someone had done it slow, deliberate. My mouth went dry. Back inside, I called Devin over. "Jesus," he said. "You sure someone didn't just, I don't know, to screw with the air pressure?" "I'm sure." We called the manager. No answer. Left a message. Then I called the non-emergency police line. A young officer came out, clipboard and all. "No cameras on that side?" he asked. "Nope." "Well, without proof or a witness, there's not much we can do. You want to file a report anyway?" I did, but we both knew it wouldn't go anywhere. Devin drove me home that night. Neither of us said much. I could feel the silence trying to tell me something, and I didn't like what it had to say. This wasn't a prank. This was a warning. On Monday, I checked the new schedule. Afternoon shifts, 4 to 9, every single day. I called the manager. "Hey, I usually close Fridays. I saw the shift change. Is that permanent?" He hesitated, just long enough to confirm my suspicion. "We just think it's safer for everyone." "Safer for who? You're pulling me off nights because of them?" I asked. "Not exactly," he said, "but we can't afford any more incidents. If something happened on our watch." "So you're avoiding the problem." "Got it." He didn't deny it. That's when I realized I wasn't being protected. I was being pushed aside, quietly, cleanly, like a coffee cup sliding off a counter. Zach and his friends kept coming in, every Friday, still laughing, still loud, still taking whatever they wanted. Sundays are usually my favorite day of the week, not because I do anything exciting, but because of the routine. I've always needed structure. It helps me breathe easier, especially since last semester, when my panic attacks started during finals. Just the thought of walking into a packed exam room made my vision blur and my chest go tight. I'm better now, mostly, but the feeling never fully leaves. Like a sleeping animal you hope doesn't wake up. That's why Sundays matter. Me and Olivia, my roommate and best friend since sophomore year, do errands together. Groceries, laundry, sometimes a walk if the weather's decent. I drive. She picks the music. We stop at Circle K almost every time because Olivia swears they have the best iced coffee under $3, and I always grab sour gummies or trail mix for the week. We'd just finished at Target and were heading back when she said, "Let's swing by Circle K." I forgot my energy drinks. I pulled in without thinking. The lot was about half full, not busy, not empty, the kind of in-between that usually feels safe. Olivia went inside to grab the drinks and check out while I said I'd start loading the trunk with what we bought from Target. I wasn't scared. Not even a little. I wasn't looking over my shoulder. The sun was high. It was the middle of the day. But while I was putting the last case of bottled water in the trunk, I felt it. That sudden prickle like the air had changed behind me. A tight feeling at the base of my neck. I've had that sensation before, usually when something bad was coming. I turned slowly. Across the parking lot, maybe 4 rows down, stood a man. Faded green hoodie, long sleeves, hood halfway up. He was beside a red sedan, leaned against it just slightly, but his posture wasn't relaxed. He wasn't on his phone, wasn't smoking, just watching. Me. It could have meant nothing, but I wasn't so sure. At first I thought maybe I was being dramatic, that maybe this was one of those moments where your brain invents danger because it's wired to. But then he moved. He started walking. Not fast, not like a guy late for work or running from something, just straight, steady, toward me. I reached for my phone, reflex, but realized it wasn't in my pocket. It was inside. I'd left it with Olivia at checkout so she could use my rewards app for the gas points. My stomach turned. My hands were shaking, but I did my best to play it off. I shut the trunk calmly, like nothing was wrong. My keys were already in my hand, the metal cool against my palm. I slid one between my fingers, just like Olivia showed me once. "It's not a weapon," she'd said, "but it's better than nothing." The man didn't stop. I thought about running, but my legs felt rooted to the spot. There were people in the store, cars nearby. If I screamed, someone would hear, right? Still, I didn't scream. I just backed toward the driver's side door and pressed the unlock button. He got within 10 feet before stopping. That's when he said it. Calm, almost casual. "Is that a Honda Civic?" I blinked. He stared at me. My sister had that exact one before she disappeared. His tone was flat, but there was something off in the way he said disappeared. Like it wasn't just a story, like I was somehow involved in it, whether I knew it or not. I didn't answer, didn't move except to open the car door, get in, and lock it fast. My hands were slippery on the wheel. I reversed without checking properly, nearly clipping a trash bin. My chest felt like it was about to cave in. Olivia came running out, holding 2 iced coffees and a plastic bag, confused. "What the hell?" she asked, climbing in. "I'll explain later," I said, pulling out onto Watterson without looking back. We didn't say much on the way home. Olivia kept looking at me sideways, waiting for an explanation. I gave her the basics. Man in a hoodie, staring, walking toward me, creepy comment. "Did he try to touch you?" she asked. "No," I said. "But he didn't have to." She got quiet after that. I think she understood. She's been with me through panic attacks, through the nights I couldn't breathe when even shadows made me spiral. She never once called me dramatic. But still, a part of me wondered if I was reading too much into it. People grieve in weird ways. Maybe the car really did remind him of something. Maybe he wasn't a threat. Maybe I projected it all onto him. But that night I couldn't sleep. My ears strained for sounds that weren't there. Every creak in the townhouse made my heart skip. And the next day at lunch I noticed a red sedan parked across the street from campus. Nothing illegal. Just sitting there. Same make. Same faded paint. Coincidence? I don't know. But I parked in a different spot the next day, and the next after that, just in case. By Wednesday, I'd stopped using logic to soothe myself. I needed something tangible, so I went to a car accessory store after class and bought a dash cam. $58.97 plus tax. Worth every penny. The guy behind the counter offered to install it for a fee. I declined. Went home, read the manual twice, and figured it out. Plugged it into the cigarette lighter port, mounted it just above the rear-view mirror, checked the angle 3 times. That night, I slept a little easier. Not because I thought it would stop anything from happening, but because I finally had something recording in case it did. We never went back to that Circle K, not once. I changed my usual Sunday routes, even switched gyms. I told Olivia she didn't have to change anything for me, but she did it anyway. That's who she is. A few weeks later, I saw the red sedan again, this time in the lot near our townhouse. It left after 5 minutes. Again, could have been nothing, but I stopped parking on the street after that. Some people think fear is loud, that it shows up as screaming or running or a horror movie jump scare, but it's not. Not always. Sometimes fear is quiet, subtle. The way your body stays tense in a well-lit parking lot, the way you memorize license plates without realizing, the way you stop going to places that used to feel normal. I never saw the man in the green hoodie again. Not clearly, at least. But every time I walked to my car after that, I double-checked the back seat. Every time I turned the ignition, I glanced at the dash cam light just to make sure it was recording. People say you shouldn't live in fear. I get that. But when something doesn't sit right, when your gut tells you to move, you listen. Because sometimes the danger is real, and sometimes the scariest part is not knowing for sure. Trust your instincts, even when no one else does. Because sometimes your brain isn't overreacting. It's trying to protect you. Better safe, aware, and a little paranoid than silent in regret. They always told me warehouse work wasn't for quiet people. You gotta be sharp, fast, loud on the floor, the supervisor said the day I started. But I've lasted 3 years on the night shift in that massive distribution center just south of Des Moines, unloading crates, scanning boxes, stacking pallets. It's not glamorous, but it's consistent. And I like consistent. Most nights I don't talk to anyone beyond a polite nod or good shift. My feet are sore, my back's usually tight, but when I clock out around 9:30 p.m., I get in my 2009 Camry and head straight to Circle K on Meadowbrook Road. It's not much, but it's my routine. A gas station hot dog, an energy drink, sometimes a warmed-up sandwich. I sit at the stool by the window, the one where I can watch the headlights on the road and feel a little less boxed in. It's the only time I slow down and breathe before heading to my tiny studio apartment. That Friday night, it was colder than usual. March in Iowa can't decide if it's winter or spring. I remember because I had to dig the ice scraper out of the back seat before leaving work. I walked into Circle K, pulled the hood off my head, and immediately noticed something off. There was a man standing by the coffee station. Dark green coat, knit cap pulled low over his ears. He was just standing. Not pouring coffee. Not looking at the options. Just staring at them like they might change. I walked past him, nodded out of habit. No response. Not even a blink. Weird, but not unheard of. It's a gas station. People come in half asleep, hungover, high, or all three. I grabbed a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich from the microwave case, paid in cash, and sat down in my usual seat by the window. Opened the sandwich, unwrapped half, took a bite. That's when I noticed him again. Still hadn't moved. Just standing between the drink machine and the hallway to the restrooms. Every so often he'd take 3 or 4 steps toward the back, then stop, then back again, then stop. Something wasn't right. I've never been the kind of person to assume the worst, but something about this guy's pacing felt different. Too slow, too deliberate. Like he didn't know if he should go in the restroom, or if he'd already been in and forgotten. 10 minutes went by. I was halfway through my sandwich when I saw the employee at the register glance up. She had short blonde hair and a name tag that said Ava. She looked tired, the kind of tired you don't fix with caffeine. "Hey," she called over to the second worker, a younger guy stocking drinks. "Is that dude still back there?" He looked toward the hallway. "Yep." Ava lowered her voice, but I still heard it. "That's the third time this week." "Third time?" I looked back at the man. He was at the edge of the restroom hallway again, staring at the floor. Same blank expression. No blinking. His hands were in his coat pockets, sleeves too long, like they'd been chewed up or stretched. Then, bang. It sounded like a trash can or maybe one of those plastic wet floor signs hitting the wall. Loud, sharp. Then silence. Both employees froze. Ava set the phone down and started walking toward the back. I stood up, sandwich in hand, unsure if I should follow or just leave. Then I heard her say, "Oh my God." She stopped dead in the hallway. I walked slowly toward her. I didn't want to intrude, but I also didn't want to pretend I didn't hear that noise. She turned slightly, and her face looked pale under the fluorescent lights. "Call 911, she said. Her voice was flat, too calm to be okay. I leaned and looked down the hallway. The restroom door was half open, and I saw legs sticking out. The man was on the ground, face up, blood slowly pooling under his head, and just beside his hand a folded piece of paper. Ava stepped away, covering her mouth. I didn't move. I just stared at that note on the ground. The paper was wrinkled, stained. Looked like it had been in his pocket for days. A corner was torn. I didn't pick it up, but I could read the writing from where I stood. Thick, uneven black letters written in marker. "Tell them I tried to be normal." That's it. That's all it said. The younger worker called the cops. Ava leaned against the drink cooler, arms crossed, her breath shallow. "I knew something was wrong," she said, more to herself than anyone. "He just kept coming back." While we waited for the ambulance, I learned the guy's name was Lucas Moran, 40-ish, maybe 39. No fixed address. He'd come in a few times over the last few weeks. Never bought anything, never said much, just hung out near the restrooms or stared at the hot dog machine for 20 minutes. "He asked me once what time the sky changes color," Ava said. "I thought he was just high." When the police arrived, I stepped back, gave a quick statement, told them what I saw, how he didn't speak, just paced. The EMTs took their time. They didn't rush in like on TV. They walked in slow, calm, quiet. That's how I knew there was no emergency left, no saving. A stretcher, a zipped bag, the paper collected in a clear evidence envelope. And that was it. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept seeing his eyes. Not scared, not angry, just gone. Like whatever held a person together had left a long time ago. I told myself not to think about it. Not my fault. Not my business. I didn't know the guy, but it stuck with me. The next Friday, I drove past the same Circle K, fully intending to stop, but I kept driving. Ended up eating chips from a vending machine at work instead. The week after I did stop, Ava wasn't working. A new guy was at the register. There was a new keypad lock on the restroom hallway. Employees only now. I guess corporate got involved. That stool by the window was still there, but I didn't sit. I paid for my energy drink, walked out, sat in my car, and just watched the entrance for a few minutes. Nobody paced. Nobody stared. Just people coming and going. But the silence in that building still felt heavy, like it remembered him. It's been 3 months now. I still work the same warehouse shift. I still grab gas station food more often than I should, but I haven't sat at that Circle K window since that night. Some nights when the warehouse is quiet and I'm folding boxes alone, I think about Lucas, about that note. Tell them I tried to be normal. There was something heartbreaking in the way he wrote it. Not angry, not dramatic, just resigned. Like he wanted someone, anyone, to understand that he did the best he could. I don't know what his life was like, but I know what it's like to feel invisible, to want someone to see you before it's too late. If I'd said something when I nodded, if someone had asked him a real question, maybe it wouldn't have changed anything, but maybe it would have. You never know what someone is carrying behind their silence. Sometimes the smallest acknowledgement, a hello, a question, a moment of presence, is more important than we realize. And sometimes being human means seeing humanity in someone else before it disappears. It was supposed to be a fun road trip. Just me and Tessa, a full tank of gas, and an excuse to get out of Indiana for a few days. We'd been dating about 6 months, and this was our first big thing, driving all the way down to Biloxi to visit her cousin. She was excited. I was excited. Felt like our first real taste of adult life. We left Bloomington early Saturday, stayed the night in Memphis, and were halfway through Arkansas by the time we rolled into Sunday. Somewhere near Little Rock, we stopped to refuel at this quiet little Circle K just off Highway Exit 232. Not the usual kind with all the chains clustered around it. This was one of those lone stations by itself with dry grass and a heat shimmer on the asphalt. I pulled in, filled up the tank, and we headed inside for snacks. I grabbed an iced tea and some trail mix, and Tessa picked out one of those warm ham and cheese sandwiches wrapped in foil. She loved those things for some reason. We didn't think twice about it. Outside, there were 2 metal picnic benches along the side wall. We sat, stretched our legs, laughed about some playlist we'd argued over earlier. Then I noticed the white GMC pickup, parked near the dumpster. Windows tinted, hood dusty like it hadn't moved much. A guy stepped out, tallish, mid to late 40s, beard patchy, skin red like he'd spent too many summers in the sun without sunscreen. He walked into the store, didn't buy anything, then came back out and sat at the table right next to us. Tessa went quiet. I tried not to make a big deal, just smiled politely and nodded like, "Yeah, we see you. Not trying to start anything." That's when he leaned forward and said, "You two remind me of someone I used to know." Just like that. Flat voice. Not warm, not creepy. Just empty. I gave him a nod and a quick, "Cool," trying to keep it light. But in my gut, I felt it. Something about the way he looked at Tessa. Like he wasn't seeing her exactly. Like he was remembering something she had nothing to do with. We didn't rush off. Maybe that was our first mistake. But we didn't linger either. Tessa said she didn't feel like finishing her sandwich. I could tell something had shifted. She wasn't chatty anymore. Just watching the man from the corner of her eye as we walked back to the car. When I pulled out of the lot, I checked the mirror out of habit. The white truck was still parked. Good, I thought. That's it. Done. 2 minutes later, I looked again. The truck was behind us. Not tailgating, but not backing off either. "You see that?" I asked. Tessa didn't answer right away. She glanced behind us and whispered, "Yeah." He's following. I tried to keep it together, took a normal left turn onto the service road. The truck followed. I took a U-turn where it made no sense to do one, the kind of turn you only make when you forget something or you're lost. The truck turned with us. That's when my stomach dropped. We didn't know what to do. We weren't armed, no pepper spray, just a tire iron in the back and a whole lot of panic. Tessa was crying quietly, phone in her lap. I told her to dial 911, but we were in the middle of nowhere. 1 bar of service. The call wouldn't go through. "Take an exit," she said. "Anywhere. Just take it." I took the next right, a narrow pull-off labeled Scenic Overlook State Park Access. I didn't even know where it led. It just felt like maybe someone would be there. A ranger, a family, anyone. The gravel crunched under our tires as I pulled into the lot. It was mostly empty except for a rusted-out sedan and a couple trail signs. The white truck pulled in right after us. I threw the car in park, got out before I could talk myself out of it. I grabbed the tire iron from the trunk and stood between the man and our car. He stepped out of the truck casually, like this was no big deal. "Whoa, whoa," he said. Easy, kid. Tessa stayed in the car, doors locked, eyes wide. I stood there, heart pounding in my ears. I didn't say a word. I didn't trust my voice. That's when I saw it. A hunting knife in his hand, half concealed behind his leg. It wasn't raised, but it wasn't sheathed either. "I just wanted to talk," he said. "She looks like someone I knew, that's all." I took a step forward, pointed the tire iron at the ground between us. "You've been following us for 20 minutes, I said. Stay back." The man's face shifted, like a switch, from calm to agitated. His shoulders squared. He stepped forward. 1 step, 2. I swung once, not at him, but hard enough to send a message. The sound of metal against gravel cracked like thunder. That's when we both heard it, a voice behind us. "Put it down. Now." It was a ranger, walking down from the trailhead, radio in hand, hand resting on his hip. The man froze, didn't drop the knife right away. I said drop it. This time he obeyed. The ranger called it in, walked us away slowly. His tone shifted once we were clear, more concerned than angry. "You two got lucky," he said. "Man's been reported before. No warrant stuck, always just off the line." The cops showed up 20 minutes later. The man, Roy Holden, didn't resist. He barely said a word. When they searched his truck, they found more than we expected. Empty food wrappers, maps, a half-filled journal with bizarre notes and dates. But the thing that hit hardest was the photo they pulled from his glove box. A Polaroid, old and faded, of a young couple. The guy looked a lot like me, right down to the messy hair. The girl, not Tessa, but close. Same brown hair, same frame, same smile, except hers was strained. And in the photo, she had a black eye. Tessa didn't say anything when they showed it to us, just stared at it like it was something out of a bad dream. I watched her clutch her arm and slowly set her uneaten sandwich on the car seat like it didn't belong in her hands anymore. One of the officers muttered something about mental health, about prior reports from other states. But it didn't matter. We knew what could have happened. We knew we got out just in time. Back on the road, neither of us spoke for almost an hour. It's been 6 months since that trip. We made it to Biloxi, but we left early. Couldn't really relax after what happened. Tessa doesn't like road trips anymore. She drives to work and class, that's it. She keeps pepper spray on her keychain now and checks the back seat before getting in. As for me, I don't stop at out-of-the-way places anymore. Not if I can help it. I plan gas stops ahead of time, stick to daylight hours, fuel up when I hit half a tank. Just in case. Sometimes, though, in certain parking lots or when someone stares too long, I feel it again. That dry Arkansas air. That flat voice saying, "She looks like someone I knew." It sticks with you. The scariest part isn't that it happened. It's how easily it could have gone another way. Trust your instincts. Even when it feels like overreacting, it's better to be safe than sorry. Not everyone you meet is dangerous, but the ones who are don't always come with warnings. Don't ignore the pit in your stomach. It's there for a reason. Every Tuesday, like clockwork, me, Marina, and Tiff would hit our hot yoga class at the strip mall on Wilmington Island, then cruise 5 minutes down Northridge Avenue to the Circle K for snacks. I don't know when it became tradition, probably sometime in junior year when everything else started feeling heavy. College apps, parents fighting, and trying to hold it together in a town where nothing really changes. Miss Cynthia always greeted us with her bright smile and called us my girls. She was that mix of southern charm and sass, and she always knew our favorites. Glacier Freeze for Marina, sour gummies for Tiff, and kettle chips for me. She made the place feel warm, even when it smelled like burnt coffee and pine cleaner. But the day she wasn't there, something felt off. He stood behind the counter, a tall, wiry man with pale skin and huge, glassy eyes, like a frog. That's what Tiff whispered the second we got back in my car. Froggy. Total Froggy vibes. He barely blinked, barely spoke. Just muttered prices under his breath and stared too long, like he wasn't sure what people were for. At first, we figured he was just tired or new. We've all had off days. But Froggy kept showing up, week after week. Never friendly, never mean, just weird. He'd forget to bag your stuff unless you reminded him. He'd chuckle at nothing. One time he smelled the Gatorade before handing it over, I swear. Tiff said maybe he was on something. Marina said maybe he had a head injury. I told myself to stop being dramatic, but I still missed Miss Cynthia. We never asked where she went. That was our mistake. One Tuesday we went earlier than usual. Yoga got canceled because of a plumbing issue, so we hit Circle K around 6:30 instead of 7:15. Still hot out, that late Georgia sun pressing down on the lot. Inside it was dead. No other customers. The coolers hummed loud. It smelled weird, like burnt plastic and something metallic. Marina went to the fridges. Tiff made a beeline for the snack wall, and I headed to the counter with my usual kettle chips and a white chocolate protein bar. Froggy was there, of course. He didn't say hi. He never did. He scanned my stuff without looking down. Then he just held the bag out. But he didn't let go. His hand stayed wrapped around the plastic like it was glued there. His eyes locked on mine, big and glassy. "You like chicken, don't you?" he asked. My mouth went dry. "What?" He didn't repeat it. Just smiled. That kind of smile you see on people who laugh at their own thoughts. And turned around, fiddling with the receipt printer like nothing happened. When we got to the car, I tossed the bag in the back seat and sat in silence. I didn't even want to open the chips. Tiff was still giggling over the name of some new energy bar. Blood Orange Rush. She unwrapped it and passed me one of the chips, half as a peace offering. I popped it in my mouth. Something was off. Way off. It wasn't the salt. It was metallic. Sharp. Like old vinegar and something I couldn't place. My stomach turned. Tiff grabbed one and held it to her nose. "What the hell is this?" she asked. "It smells like rust." I spit mine out and wiped my tongue on my sleeve. It wasn't a seasoning I'd ever tasted before. It didn't feel like a seasoning at all. We drove straight to my house. My dad was in the garage changing the oil in his truck. I was shaking by the time we pulled in. "Someone needs to talk to that guy," I said. Seriously. My dad's a mechanic, but more than that, he's a dad. Protective in that quiet, fix it with my own hands kind of way. I told him everything. The weird chicken comment, the chips, how Froggy had been there for weeks. He didn't laugh, didn't even roll his eyes like I expected. "Get in the truck," he said. We drove back. I didn't go inside with him, just watched from the passenger seat while he walked into that too bright store with his military boots and mechanic's confidence. He came back out 5 minutes later, shaking his head. "He's not there," he said. I sat up straight. "What do you mean?" The lady at the counter, younger, maybe early 20s, said there's no one named that on payroll. No man, no temperature. Said maybe I was confused with another location. "No way," I said. "He was there an hour ago. He's always there." Dad shrugged. She said only women work evening shifts now. Cynthia's out on medical, didn't say what. I wanted to go back in, make them prove it, show security footage. But I didn't. Something in the way the clerk looked at my dad, that polite corporate please leave us alone look, made me stay put. That night, I threw away the rest of the chips. My stomach still twisted every time I remembered the taste. A week passed. We started going to a different Circle K, 10 minutes farther out, but cleaner and brighter and, most importantly, Froggy-free. We didn't talk about him much. Part of me hoped it had been some freak moment, a glitch in reality, something we'd laugh about later when we were older. Then the postcard arrived. It came to my house. No return address. Just my name, Isabel Jordan, written in shaky red ink. The front was a cartoon drawing of a chef holding a platter. I flipped it over, scrawled across the back, in uneven handwriting. "I'll cook something better next time." My hands went ice cold. I ran inside and showed it to my mom. She thought it was a prank. My dad didn't. He called the post office, then the cops. A report was filed, but with no return address and no name. Nothing really came of it. I stopped going anywhere alone after that. Marina offered to drive us all the time now. Tiff deleted our Snap Map locations. We never heard about Miss Cynthia again. Sometimes I wonder if Froggy was ever real. I know that sounds stupid. We saw him, week after week. His big bug eyes, the way he hovered, how he never blinked. But the postcard made me realize something worse. Maybe we weren't the first girls he watched. Maybe we just happened to notice. We still go to yoga, still snack after, but never at North Ridge. I don't even take that road anymore. I check the mailbox every day. My dad installed a camera. We started locking our doors, like really locking them, even during the day. I started carrying pepper spray in my backpack. The world didn't suddenly become dangerous that night. It had always been. We just didn't see it until then. And every time I open a bag of chips now, I check for anything that doesn't look right. Anything that smells wrong. Because you never know who's watching, or what they're planning for next time. Just because someone seems harmless doesn't mean they are. Always trust your gut, especially when something, or someone, feels off. Safety isn't about being paranoid. It's about staying aware, even when the world tries to gaslight you into thinking you're overreacting. I never meant to leave the house that night. It was one of those long Wednesdays that dragged into Thursday before you noticed. I'd worked a full shift at the used car lot off Sierra Highway, filled out paperwork for a guy who backed out of financing after we detailed the Civic, and then sat through 2 hours of my manager explaining gross margin on warranties I'd already memorized. When I got home, I microwaved leftover wings, threw on heat for the millionth time, and zoned out. By 1:30 a.m., the wings were gone, my mouth was dry, and I realized I hadn't stocked up on drinks or snacks. Circle K was just 6 minutes down East Palmdale Boulevard. I figured I'd run in, grab a Coke, some Cool Ranch Doritos, maybe one of those sad little burritos they keep on the rollers. I threw on a hoodie and flip-flops, keys in hand, no wallet, just a crumpled $10 bill from my car's center console. The place was mostly dark except for the sickly flicker of fluorescent tubes near the back. No music playing, which was unusual. Just that hum from the fridge coolers and the occasional beep from the lottery machine. Something about it felt thinner, like a place left behind by time. That's when I noticed her. She stood by the coffee station, pale legs, barefoot, hair like it hadn't seen a brush in weeks, a long, wrinkled gray dress that hung too loose for her frame. She was staring at the sugar packets like she was trying to remember what they were for. Her fingers trembled near the stir sticks. There was a clerk behind the register, a guy with earbuds in, probably in his 40s, looked like he was halfway through a podcast. He kept sneaking glances at her but never said anything. Just tapped at his phone like it wasn't his problem. I should have walked away. Just grabbed my Coke and chips and left. But I didn't. I walked toward the counter like it was any other night. I didn't know then, but I was walking right into something I wouldn't forget. I had just set the soda and chips on the counter when she moved. Fast. Like she was waiting for me. She turned from the sugar packets and walked straight toward me, barefoot on the cold linoleum. Her eyes were dark, not bloodshot, just hollow, like they'd seen too much and stopped trying to process it. Her skin looked like damp paper, stretched too thin. "Have you seen my dog?" she asked. Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried. It was that kind of whisper that makes the hairs on your arms rise, like it knew how to bypass your ears and go straight to your chest. I blinked. No. I haven't. What kind of dog? He's a Chihuahua, black and white. His name's Benny. He's small, but he knows his way back. I glanced at the clerk, who finally pulled one earbud out and sighed like this had happened before. "Ma'am, you asked the last 3 people the same thing. Please don't block the register." But she didn't move. Her eyes didn't leave mine. They weren't angry, just lost. "They took him," she said. "I know they did. The men with no eyes." I felt my jaw lock. Then she pulled something from her coat pocket, a crumpled Polaroid, and set it on the counter like it was evidence. It was just grass, a blurry square of brownish green. No house, no dog, no shadows, just grass. The kind you see off any roadside in Palmdale. She tapped the photo twice. He was there. I nodded, not because I understood, but because I didn't know what else to do. I put the $10 bill on the counter and slid my stuff toward the clerk. The woman didn't move, didn't blink. As I backed away, she stayed planted by the counter, gripping the photo like a child clutches a drawing. When I left the store, the air outside felt colder than when I arrived. It wasn't even about the weather. I hustled to my car, heart beating a little too fast for a snack run. She hadn't followed. I checked twice. She stood just inside the Circle K doors facing the glass, not looking at me, not even looking out into the parking lot. She was looking at herself. Or maybe at something only she could see. I turned the ignition and pulled out fast, tires crunching over loose gravel. For a second, I thought I saw movement behind me, the flash of her dress in my rear view. But when I glanced again, the window was clear. Empty. At home, I left the snacks on the counter and went straight to bed. But sleep didn't come easy. I kept picturing that photo she held, that patch of dead grass. Her cracked voice saying, "They took him." Who were they? I told myself she was just someone who'd lost too much. Maybe living out of shelters, maybe off her meds. That kind of sadness makes people strange. I knew that. But it didn't explain how still she was. How that empty store had felt more like a waiting room for something wrong than a convenience store. I didn't go back for 2 nights. But I couldn't get her out of my head. It was Sunday when I finally went back. During daylight this time. The sun was out and families were pumping gas. It felt normal. No flickering lights, no cold air that didn't match the forecast. I bought gum and asked the morning cashier, a younger guy with glasses and a friendly face. "Hey, that woman, kind of thin, pale, barefoot, long gray dress. You know who she is?" He paused, then gave a slow nod. "Yeah, she's been coming around off and on for years, mostly at night. Doesn't hurt anyone. Used to live across the street before they tore those houses down for the Dollar Tree." "What's her story?" I asked. He hesitated, chewing his lip. "She had a son, 5, maybe 6 years old. Got hit crossing the road out here, drunk driver, real bad scene. Happened around midnight. She had a little dog too, Chihuahua. Same night, dog ran off during the chaos. Neither came back. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to." He added quietly, "She started showing up every few weeks. Always talks about the dog. Sometimes the boy, sometimes the photo." I left the gum on the counter. Didn't need it anymore. I never saw her again. Sometimes I wonder if I imagined her. That's easier to believe than the truth. That she's out there somewhere, walking barefoot down cracked sidewalks, asking strangers about a dog that's been gone 5 years. But I know I didn't imagine her. I remember the way she stared. Not at me, through me. Like I was just the latest ghost she needed to talk to. And I remember that photo. That empty patch of grass. Now, every time I stop at that Circle K, always in daylight, I glance toward the coffee station, and sometimes for just a second I think I see someone standing there. Thin, pale, waiting. But there's never anyone. Grief doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just whispers to strangers at 2 a.m. in convenience stores. You never know what kind of pain someone carries. So when something feels off, it might not be evil. It might just be heartbreak in disguise. Stay human, stay aware, and always listen before you judge. I don't remember the exact moment I realized my drive had turned into a blur. 4 hours straight from Dallas to Lubbock. No music, just caffeine and exhaustion taking turns. I was tired in that bone-deep way you feel after a long day at the software support center and a weekend door-knocking to see family. By the time I exited onto Highway 84, I just wanted a bottle of water and something sweet, something to make my eyes not float closed on the highway again. That's when I saw the Circle K. One lone pickup under a flickering fluorescent sign. Some construction cones propped around like nobody bothered to clean them up. I pulled in and stopped before the sliding doors, blinked at them as if they might flicker out at any second. Inside felt off. Empty aisles. Too bright, but kind of dim. No music playing, just the hum of the coolers. No open register, just a nervous young guy behind it, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Then I noticed him, somewhere off to the side. A man with a ripped Carhartt jacket, backpack hanging off his shoulder like he was carrying the whole world. He was buying 6 energy drinks, jerky, and a handful of peanut butter cups. The clerk kept checking the backpack, eyes rolling to the ceiling, scanning mirrors, shifting uncomfortably. That's when I heard him. Not directly, but breaching the silence. Can't sleep. Can't stop. They'll find me. Not tonight. Not tonight. He looked unwell. Scruffy beard, hollow cheeks, eyes darting. Something about the way he muttered made a knot in my gut. I pulled a bottle of water from the fridge and tried tuning him out, but his voice echoed every time I took a sip. I told myself he was just someone having a bad night. Maybe mental health or drugs or just a hard life. But I felt the store tighten around me. The tension was thick, like the air before a storm. I headed to the counter with my water and sugary candy bar, heart doing a jittery drum roll. Our eyes met briefly. His looked haunted. Mine tried to stay polite. Then I paid and walked toward the door, pretending I didn't notice him following, just one step behind. I felt his hot breath like a warning. I thought I was imagining it, just a trick of the faint fluorescent light or the heat radiating off the asphalt outside. But when I turned to leave, he spoke again. They already know your plate. They're watching you now too. I froze like a deer caught in headlights. He was so close my shoulder hardened against his backpack. Something primal in me typed fight or flight, and I chose flight. I dropped my candy on the counter and bolted out. The clerk barely even glanced up, just said, "Have a good night, man," like he'd heard worse. I didn't say anything. I just got out. Outside it was quiet, sweaty. The night smelled like dust and something mechanical. I jumped into my car and cranked it. The engine roared louder than my heart. I reversed fast and backed onto the service road. Didn't look back. But in my peripheral I saw him, standing by the door, just sitting on the sidewalk next to the ice machine, legs cross-legged, whispering to himself. Just waiting. Like this was his spot, part of his routine. I stared for a second, then turned and drove off before my brain even fully caught up. I couldn't go home yet, not with that thought in my head. So I drove, just sat in circles around the area, checking the rear view every 30 seconds. Bright lights, dark lights, stop sign lights. I watched all of them. Each reflection felt like potential eyes on me. I called my roommate and explained it all over the phone without breathing. "Dude, I'm not making sense, but something was wrong. He followed me. He said they know your plate." She went quiet, then said, "Get somewhere safe before man mode shuts off." So I grabbed coffee at a 24-hour diner and asked for hot water just to hold. Half an hour later I went home. But sleep didn't come easy. I lay in bed staring at my ceiling fan, thinking about his backpack. What was in it that made him so nervous, so desperate? Morning came with sunlight I almost resented. I went to work, eyes shifting every time a stranger entered the office. That afternoon I got a call from Circle K's night manager. He said the man hadn't been seen since. Said apologies, probably just a creepy customer. I didn't know what I expected, but I felt relieved and angry. They might not report it, but I lived it. Then, 2 days later, local news popped up on my feed. Police had found a suspicious backpack under a highway overpass just 2 blocks from that Circle K. They cordoned off the area for public safety. No details given. I stared at the photo of an unmarked black backpack sitting under a concrete arch, right where that man would have walked. I felt an echo in my chest. I noticed my car's license plate reflecting in the screen. I'd kept the plate cleaner since that night. Felt ridiculous. I don't go that Circle K anymore. I'll fuel up somewhere else. Tesco, random station, anything not by that service road. Work's back to normal. Hangovers from code bugs, weird support calls. I still drive late at night to Starbucks 2 miles farther. Need the caffeine, sure, but also the people, even if they don't know me. Sometimes at midnight I catch a reflection in a car mirror or a storefront window. I'm always checking that no one's behind me. But beyond that, I wonder what that man was running from, or to. Could be delusion, could be a conspiracy, could be nothing. Doesn't matter. He said they're watching you, and I believed him, because he believed it first. Trust your gut. Don't dismiss the quietly disturbing moments. Sometimes safety isn't about logic. It's about instincts reacting to the world our brains haven't fully processed. Don't let politeness shut down your alarm. If someone's fear pushes a normal person into circles at midnight that fear matters, stay aware, stay alive. My name's Devin Hill. Back in late 2022, I was 19, juggling general ed courses at a local community college and working a dishwashing job at Pete's Diner, right across from a Circle K on Sargent Road in Indianapolis. I wasn't doing anything glamorous, just trying to stay ahead on bills and avoid moving back in with my mom. Pete's wasn't fancy. The kitchen was always hot, the shifts long, and the manager, Mick, had this used car salesman vibe. He acted friendly, called everyone big man or rock star, but deep down you knew he'd sell you out the minute it got inconvenient. It was a Tuesday. Gray skies, cold drizzle all morning. I was halfway through drying trays when Mick called me into his little office. The place smelled like microwave sausage and old cologne. He leaned back in his chair, cracked knuckles and grinned. "Dev, my guy," he said. "Kitchen's over by 2 guys this week. Take a few days off. You've earned it." I hesitated. "You sure? I could pick up shifts instead." "Nah," he said, brushing it off. "We're just trying to avoid overtime. Nothing personal." I figured a short break wouldn't kill me. I clocked out, grabbed a fountain drink from Circle K, and stood under the overhang, waiting for my sister to pick me up. I scrolled my phone, thinking about my math test and whether I should finally drop the class. I didn't know it then, but that would be my last calm day for a while. 2 days later, I was at home trying to finish an essay when I got a call from a blocked number. I almost let it go to voicemail. "This is Devin." "Hi, Mr. Hill. This is Linda from HR at Pete's Diner. I'm calling to notify you that your employment has been terminated effective immediately." "What? Why?" "There's security footage of you operating the company vehicle during a hit-and-run incident. Damage to a parked car, serious liability." I sat up, stunned. I've never driven that car. Mick won't even let me mop without asking. She sighed like she'd heard every excuse. "Your ID, apron, and name tag were all visible. It's an internal decision." She hung up. I stared at the wall. I hadn't even been at work that day, and now I was fired over something I didn't do. My hands were shaking. I texted Mick, no reply. I called, straight to voicemail. I felt this cold drop in my stomach. I knew something was off, but I didn't know how bad it was yet. The next morning I headed straight to Circle K. Janelle, the day shift lead, was behind the counter. She'd always been chill with me, called me quiet kid, but meant it as a compliment. "Hey Janelle, can I ask you something kind of weird?" She looked up. "You okay?" "Not really. I think someone at the diner used my uniform to do something shady. Any chance I could see the camera footage from Tuesday?" She raised a brow. "You think you were framed?" "I know I didn't do it." Janelle checked if the manager was out. Then she led me into the back room. We scrubbed through footage, and at exactly 2:43 p.m., there it was. A guy walking out of the diner kitchen in my Pete's apron. Same building, same walk. But when he turned slightly, the side angle told the truth. "That's Travis," I said. Janelle paused. "The line cook with the buzz cut?" "Yeah." He must have taken my apron and name tag. I leave my locker unlocked sometimes. She leaned in. That's some bold crap. She printed 3 screenshots and handed them to me. You should show Mick. I nodded, though my gut told me it wouldn't fix anything. Back at Pete's, the kitchen smelled like fryer oil and burnt toast. I walked through the back, holding the screenshots. People looked at me, then looked away. Mick was on his phone in the office. I didn't knock. Got a minute? I asked. He looked up slowly. You're not supposed to be here. I tossed the papers onto his desk. That's not me, it's Travis. He barely glanced at them. Kid messed up, he panicked. You? You got no priors? You were cleaner. You used me? I said. He shrugged. This isn't personal. He needed a break. I covered him. You'll be fine. You lied. I lost my job. My name's on that report. No one's gonna care. You think HR's gonna issue an apology? My fists clenched, but I didn't say anything. There was nothing I could do. Mick smirked. Don't make a scene. I walked out. Everyone watched, but no one said a word. I couldn't sleep for days. I kept replaying it in my head. How fast people turn on you when you don't serve their interests. Then, one afternoon, Janelle texted me. We need part-time. You want in? I didn't think twice. Working at Circle K wasn't ideal, but I showed up early, stayed late, and didn't complain. I stocked shelves, cleaned spills, learned the register. Janelle had my back. It wasn't much, but it gave me something I'd lost. Control.